Hello, this is Compass, and welcome to part 4 of my beginner's guide to Intellijel's Metropolix sequencer. Firstly, I need to apologise, it's taken me far too long to get part 4 up. I got distracted by this machine, ended up making a bass line that I really liked, ended up recording it, and spent some time actually finishing a track. So I guess no bad thing, but it did distract me for quite a long time. Secondly, I have changed this system. I have also been distracted by this fella here. This is Eowave's Domino module, and it is not new at all, and I'm not sure why I decided to get it, but it is totally amazing. It is a complete synth voice, and I mean, it just sounds totally amazing. If you like the acid TB303 type sound, this is just fantastic. So we will have some fun with that. We also have Music Thing Modular radio music here, and this is going into output 2. We'll come on to that later. It's not a big part of the video, but I thought it'd be interesting just to play with. So this video is all about the mod lanes. I'm very excited about this feature, and I've been playing with it a lot. Like a lot of the features on Metropolix, it can go extremely deep, and you're not entirely sure exactly what you're going to get out, but it is a load of fun. So Metropolix not only has 2 tracks here, again we are only using the single track, and I've set it up as before. We're using all 8 stages. We are using 16 pulses, so if I go to the length, this is set up as the other videos, so I actually have only 1 pulse count on each stage at the moment. So it's a very simple setup. And if you look at the home screen, I guess, these blocks moving along are the pulses going along. The top one is track 1, the second one is track 2, and the third one is the mod lane. And at the moment, it tells you on the... And the third lane is the mod lane. So there are 8 modulation lanes in Metropolix. Each modulation lane can either be assigned to track 1 or track 2 or both of them. And this can lend a whole load of complications and variety. You can also send the modulation lanes out from jacks A here and jacks B. So these I will show you later. They are currently, B is attached to the reset of Music Thing Modular, the radio music. At the moment A is not attached anywhere, but it will be. So what are the modulation lanes? Well, in the previous video we talked about the CV, where you can use each stage to set a voltage and send that voltage to like the filter cutoff to modulate the filter cutoff. Well, each modulation lane is either a gate per stage, on and off, that can be sent various places, either externally through A and B or internally, as we'll see. Or it is very much like the CV button here on this stage buttons, where you can program and design an 8-stage CV path, and then you can send that either again internally or externally. The easiest way to demonstrate this is to start going through the features. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them. There are, I haven't actually counted, there are about 25 different types of modulation that you can do. Some of them are, in my opinion, more useful than others, and I will try and take you through those ones. The first few are to do with the accumulation mode, and if you watched my last video, you saw that I found this quite confusing, and funnily enough, it is still confusing in this, using modulation as well. So if we first go to track 1 and go to the accumulation stages, and maybe on this stage, we will add some accumulation. So now you can hear this note here is changing every time it goes through the stage. Great, so far. So sort of interesting. If you then go to modulation, this is the modulation screen. So the modulation parameter is currently set to none. And the bottom of the screen, it says modulation track 1 out of the 8 is going to global. So if we go to edit and select track 1, sorry, I have modulation selected here. I press edit. These are then the 8 modulation lanes. This is 1, 2, 3, and so on. Oh, if we go to 1. So we are in modulation 1, and I'm going to go to accumulate. If I press it in, you then can select in the bottom half of the screen whether modulation 1 goes to, whether modulation 1 goes to track 1, track 2, or tracks 1 and 2. So I'm going to put it to track 1. Right, so when it's in accumulate and you press the modulation button, you'll see that in this particular scenario, each stage is a gate. And what it does is that when the gate is high, the accumulation will work. So at the moment, none of the gates are high. None of these circles are filled in. So all of these 8 gates are low. And you'll hear this one is not changing pitch. And this stage 5 is where we set the accumulation pitch to adjust each time it went through. So if I then set stage 5 here to high, the gate is now high. So if the gate is high at the same time as the stage is accumulating, it will accumulate. It's almost like an on-off switch. So you can hear it's changing pitch. And now it's not. And what is interesting is when you turn it off, it freezes the pitch. So this, I don't think, is what the slider is set at. If you listen again, it goes high and goes low. I'll try and pick a different note. You can kind of freeze it. So I guess sort of interesting. Okay, and that's it for the first one. That one I think is reasonably useful. The second one is accumulation reverse. So rather than I've got the pitch going up here, if you set it here, it will go down. But again, because we've got it on wrap, which is the standard default way, it's still going to wrap and it's actually quite hard to tell. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that one. Invert. Right, so when you set to invert, it will go the other way. So I've set it to +5, I believe. If we go back to track 1, edit, accumulation, +6, it will go -6. So I got this wrong on the previous setting, reverse. That will calculate the notes that accumulation will want to do and play them in reverse order. Again, I have no idea whether that's interesting or useful, but that's what it does. The next one is mode. So this is when the gate is high, when the gate's low, it'll just do what we've programmed it to do. So the pitch on stage 5 is changing. If you press mode when the gate is high, then accumulation will change from being per stage to per track. So all of the notes should change. I think it changes whilst the gate is high. So if we had them all high, all of the notes have gone high. Again, I'm not sure how useful or interesting the accumulation mode is. It sounds like it could be, but it generally just leads to chaos. Maybe that's a good thing. Polarity will change it from unipolar to bipolar. I won't go through that. Reset will stop the accumulation and reset it back to the slider position when the gate is high. Again, I won't go through that. BPM internal, you can change the clock timing of the internal clock. I have an external clock here coming from my Roland TR8S, so I'm not going to go through that right now. Clock input division, okay, this is reasonably interesting. Right, actually, before I do this, I'm going to take accumulation off, otherwise we'll still get this strange notes. Okay, no accumulation. Right, back to clock in division. So if you go into so this is the first one that's a slightly different screen. It's not a gate, it is an amount per step. So actually this works better with smaller numbers. So maybe I'll do a couple of extreme ones. So what this is doing is the clock in division. So when the clock division number, so this is on a per step basis, it is changing the speed of the clock. So it is giving you a different timing on, say, step 2 here, -7. So it is changing, it is slowing down the clock on this step. Yeah. I mean, it definitely sounds different if I get rid of them all. Listen. Oh, hold on. Hold and hold it down. So it does change the clock. I'm not sure it works well on a per step basis because the change is so fleeting that it's very hard to tell. But maybe if you did it across the board, maybe if I changed it all. There you go. Okay, so that's a lot easier to tell. So across the board, if you hold Alt, you can change them all at the same time. So now we have. So the lights at this stage don't correspond to the noise you're hearing. So these are the clocks, the internal clock going along, but we have slowed down the clock by 4 times. So it's 4 times slower. And presumably if I go the other way, we can, okay, that is in line. You can hear this note as the light is illuminating. If we went the other way, presumably it'll be, okay, that should be 4 times quicker, and that doesn't work. Maybe it can't run as quickly. Maybe that is the speed. Okay, again, vaguely interesting. Right, the next one is direction. This one again is a gate. So what this one does is when the gate is high, playback is reversed, and then it's restored when the gate is low. So if you do it on so if I do it on this high note, stage 5, for this one beat, it will reverse. In other words, it'll start going back towards the left, and it'll play this note twice and then keep going. At least I think that's what it's going to do. There you go. You get this one twice. And again, this is where Metropolix is great, because you don't really need to understand what's going on, but you can you vaguely know what's going on. You can just play around and see what sounds good. This can definitely work wonders, I think. Now, because we've got more than one gate, we're sort of bouncing around. I quite like that one, I have to admit. Okay, the next two are to do with gate length, and as per my last video, I'm not entirely sure that the gate is particularly sensitive. That's not quite right. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, so I am going to move on from that. So the next ones are to do with loopy, which is this button over here, the sort of infinity sign. We haven't covered that yet, but that is extremely useful, and I've definitely got lost playing with that. We will come on to that potentially in the next video. Mute. So mute is another one where it's gates, and as you can hear, This is relatively straightforward. Now this is the same as the skip button on the stages. Now the advantage of this is you can have no skips on, say, any tracks, and then by doing this you can skip the same one on both tracks. You can send this modulation to track 1 and track 2, so you can make them have the same sort of beat, I guess. Okay, relatively straightforward. Octave is the next one, and this one is also interesting. So this one is also not also, in fact, this one is to do with not voltages but steps. So if we select this one, this note here, you can do, that's up 1 octave, 2 octaves. So this can definitely start to sound pretty interesting. Now, because this is a TB303 kind of clone, it's definitely going to sound better if we stick some slides on there. So I'm just going to go to the track slide menu and pick a couple of notes here. Okay, and then we'll go back to the mod lane, and I think if you go too far, too extreme on the octaves, it doesn't sound particularly good. But yeah, definitely that octave, definitely one to work with. The next one is pitch offset. Okay, so this has actually kept our pattern. So this is, again, in steps. So because we were setting octaves before, these voltages are in exactly 1 volt. Well, multiples of 1, so that's on 1, that's on 2. You can actually do it by tiny amounts. Now what this does is it changes the pitch, which is set on these sliders, and it does it after quantization. So this will result, well, unless you've got exact numbers here, this will result in potentially notes that are not in the scale that you are working to, which again may or may not be what you want to do. If we change, say, the high one here by a lot, and just open the filter a bit. This one is slightly weird. It's 2 octaves, 2 and 0.4 of an octave up. Okay, so that's going to be, yeah, out of scale. But you know, using your ears, it may be something that you quite like. Next one is pitch post. So pitch post is very much like pitch offset if you look at the notes, but the difference is that this will change the pitch after quantization by exact semitones. Now this again will not necessarily be in scale, but if you see the numbers here are at least whole numbers, so you won't get the microtonal shifts that you do using pitch offset. Okay, so with those two, you've got to be a little bit careful if you want it to be in scale. The next one is pitch pre. So I think pitch pre is much more interesting. So this will change the pitch before quantization. So it'll take these notes on the sliders, then you can change the notes as you want, and then it will. So on this particular note, I've gone down 11 semitones. Now that may or may not be in the scale, which I think is C harmonic minor at the moment. But if it's not, Metropolix will put it into that scale. So this will always sound good, which I like. And then, as with all of these, you should say if I hold Alt and turn this down, it moves all of them down, or all of them up. module is so good. And then if you hold Alt and press the button, it will reset them all. Next one is play order. So play order, this is very interesting as well. So this will change the play order. See, it's in steps. So if we go, let's make it easy on ourselves. If we go +1 there and +2 there. Now what this is doing is moving the play order in the list that is in Metropolix. So if we get out of here and go to track 1 and go to order, the play order is at the top. So the first one is linear. If you go up 1, it's ping pong. So when I went up 1 on stage, whatever it was, 4 or 5, that will then ping pong, it'll start to go back. If I went up 2, that's then pendulum. And you can see what's happening to the lights. So they are jumping around all over the place. And this, I think, is very interesting in order just to create some very different. I mean, doing too many of them obviously becomes totally kind of crazy. You'll get to this sort of arpeggio function. But potentially, if I just reduce all of those, if I do it once, maybe on the last stage and just choose, I have no idea what the 12th play order is. But that's pretty interesting. The other thing which I should go into at this point is that each mod lane can have its own order, its own length, and its own time division. The buttons here, swing, slide, and gate, don't apply. But if this mod button is highlighted and you press order, this is then changing the order of the modulation lane. So not only am I in the modulation lane changing the play order on the 8th stage, I can also change how it gets to that 8th stage. I can say jump by 2. I can say reverse. I'm not going to. I'm going to jump by 2 forward. Now, you'll see in the 3rd row here, this is telling you what is happening on that first modulation lane. And you can see that the coloured squares or filled in squares are jumping by 2. They're missing out a couple. So you can change that. Jump by 5. Oh, I didn't mean to press that. Jump by 5 forward, and you'll see that it's jumping by 5. So it's going kind of all over the place. And if we then just take it back to linear again, you can also change the length. So at the moment I've got it on 8 stages, so we're using all 8 stages, but I am on auto pulses. So that if we take that to 16 pulses, then that is in line with our track, I think. Yes. Oh, I've managed to set it to go backwards. Look. Yes, so when I was on this screen, I keep doing this, I've pressed. So now we're going forwards. Okay, so we're going forwards in terms of the order. The length of the track is 16 pulses. We can also change the clock division, so we can make the mod lane go slower. We can't make it go faster. But if I change this to 2 and get out, you'll see that this now, the 3rd track here, is moving at half the speed of tracks 1 and track 2. If I just reset it, it'd be easier for you to see there. Just try and get it back in time with the kick drum. So I think that is already sounding pretty good. This thing can also do some pretty good kind of toms. Or some zaps. Right, let's go back to a bass. Okay, so that is sounding pretty good. Maybe I'll leave it like that. That is play order. Probability. This one is pretty straightforward. On a per step basis, you can change the probability, much like you can here on the stage buttons. Again, I guess the advantage here is that you can send the same probability to both tracks, or indeed send the voltage out of A and B and send it to another module. Pulse count, pulse division, and pulse length I found have little impact. I don't know whether I don't fully understand it, but they obviously change the number of pulses, so I think it overrides here. Let's just try pulse count just to see whether I actually understand what's going on. Right, so where I have 0, so I've got 1 pulse on each stage, so let's pick the easy one. Let's go for the high one. Let's go on the high one. Sorry, these lights will reflect the timing of the track that you have selected. So this is track 1, and you can hear that when this is lit, you can hear that noise. If I select mod here, it's going at half speed, and the notes and the lights are out of sync, so that may be confusing on the video. It's quite confusing here, to be honest. Right, so we are on pulse count, yes. So this is 1, so if I increase this to, say, 5, there's now 4 pulses here. So this kind of overrides what are on the sliders. Which is nice, actually. If you notice, usually there are a couple of options. So here, this is a step, so this will immediately go to 2 pulses here. I'm not sure exactly how it calculates if you do a ramp. Sorry, I don't know. It's not quite 2 pulses, I would say. So it does make a difference. I have to say, I think that's pretty good. Can you go negative? I'm not sure. I guess if I had 4 there. Oh. Yeah, so it does. So I've set this one to -2, so it's now 2. Although I don't know why I'm getting, excuse me, I'm not sure I'm not getting 2 pulses. Not sure about that. Right, we are back. We're back to normal. Right, okay, good. Right. Right, the next one is pulse division, pulse length. Feel free to play with those. Ratchet. I got far too confused with ratchets, and I'm not very keen on them. So this, I'm not going to go through this, but this changes the number of ratchets on the step. So if I had a ratchet here, this would increase the ratchet by 1. But I don't like ratchets. I'm not going to play with that. Reset. So this will reset the track. So this is track 1. So if we hit a reset there, and if you put it back to, we're only getting, even though the light is going to track 8, to stage 8, we're only getting the first 5, then it's resetting back to number 1. So it's not resetting the underlying track, it is overwriting. So you see on the screen here that the track is going all the way to stage 8, but we are resetting it through the modulation. See, I like that as well. Like, simple, but you can just get some great variety. I don't like that, but you see, not bad. Yeah, nice. Right. Next next one is root. So this will, let's go for stage 5, the high note again. This will increase the root note on this step. Maybe this is one where you need to do all of them. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand. This is supposed to change the root note of the scale. But right, I'm not sure that works as I think, so feel free to let me know in the comments exactly what I'm doing wrong there, and we will move on. Let's clear that out. The next one is a user scale, so you can shift user scales. We haven't really gone through that again yet, but this is very useful for kind of key changes, and then if you can trigger that externally as well, it can become very interesting. Skip Invert. So I touched on this briefly using one of the control knobs earlier. This is again quite interesting. We need some skips in order to do it. So if we edit skip and skip a couple of notes here, actually probably easier if we skip these 4, so it's only playing the first 4 notes and then go back to the modulating. Now, skip invert, when the gate is high, it will skip them. So these 4 were skipped, but because I've put this, it will invert, so it won't skip this. And if I put this one high, it will skip this one. And if I did all 4, we just have the normal. Pattern. And if I skip these 4, we skip the first 4. Remember, there are 16 steps. And you can see here on the track, you can see that the skip is switching, which is quite neat. Let's go back to modulation. But I just think, you know, you can just get some great wow, you can see on the screen here, it's telling you that it's inverting them, so I have no skip set. Because we're still inverting some of them, we're getting kind of a rhythm. I quite like that. That is one of those happy accidents. So when it's hitting one of these notes, it is invert. So there are no skips. But when the gate is high, it'll change the 0 skips to 4 skips. So presumably it'll go, yeah, silent. So we've now put skips in where there are none. So this is like inverse skip. So we're not skipping these buttons, we're skipping these ones, the ones that aren't selected. Okay, anyway. Interesting. Next one is slide. Okay, slide is interesting. So this works in conjunction with the slide on the track. So do you remember we have 2 buttons here, in stages 3 and 7. Stages 3 and 7 have a slide on them already. And what the slide does is when the modulation lane gate is high, so what did we say, 3 and 7? When the gate is high, it will put a slide on these stages. If the gate is low, it'll only do a slide if there's a slide on these stages in the stage menu. So actually how I set it like this makes no difference, because whether the gate's high or low, there's going to be a slide. That did sound a bit different. Hold on, did I get the right? I did get the right ones. Maybe it's because of the slide setting that I have. So what should happen now though is if I put a slide we're adding slides here, but when the gate is low we still get a slide on 3 and 7. So we can effectively add extra slides here. Slide on every. Okay, nice. Slider amount, well, you can do the same thing. You can change the amount of the slide on a per step basis. I won't go through that. That is fairly straightforward. Slider invert, so this is not to do with slide. You must select that. Okay, so this is a gate basis. So what this does is that the range, each of these sliders from the bottom to the top has a pitch range. And if you go to the setup menu, if you go to the track menu, Alt, track 1, there we go, the slider octaves 2. So it's 2 octaves from bottom to top. That's a C, that's a C, 2 above. Okay. Back to the modulation lane. Slider invert will invert them. So if this is, let's put this at the top, and I invert this, it will push it to the bottom of the slider. Okay, so it inverts it. So if I'm at the bottom, you put it at the top. If I do them all, then invert them all. Maybe what if we invert the ones that are at the bottom? We invert. Again, just sounds great in my opinion. Right, I want to change the speed of the modulation lane. Sorry. This is the modulation menu, which is showing you that there is something happening on modulation lane 1 and nothing on modulation lanes 2 to 8. What was I trying to do? Don't know. Anyway. Right, back to normal. Right, we're nearly there. Okay, the next one is stages length. So we have set track 1 to be all 8 stages. We can change that, and it will reduce it. I don't think we can increase it more than. I don't think we can increase it more than 8, but we can go negative. So, I'm not sure how it works. We've done it on step 4. We've reduced it down to 4 stages. So let's just go back to the. Oh, sorry, yes, here we go. Okay, so we're reducing it to 4 stages, but only briefly it would appear. So maybe this actually, again, is a good one where we just do it across the board using the Alt button. So now we're only hearing the first four stages, right? And if we get back to the, yes, the track one here is now only 4 stages. And if we went back to, we can increase it to, that's now 6 stages. And if we went back to that screen, yeah, we've got 6 stages, okay. So yeah, quite interesting, quite like that. And back to 8 stages. The next one is stages offset. Now if you recall, what this does is that the first beat, if you move it to the right by 1, is not the first stage but the second stage. So you could do this on a, again I think this would be better on a, we've moved it by 2, so this is the first note now. If you look on the screen, the third note has a slightly thicker border, that means we're starting there. If you do it kind of randomly, it's just constantly changing where it starts every time it resets. It's just a great way of getting some very strange beats. Oh, not strange, interesting. Right, let's reset that. Right, just about the end. Swing, well, you can change the swing on a per step basis. I won't go through that. And then the final one, yes, we are at the final one, is track out swap. So track out swap. So this will swap the pitch and gate outputs between track 1 and track 2 on a per step basis. So you could have the first 4 stages sent to, in this case, the domino, and then you could send the second 4 stages. You can see here that the pitch is going to track 2, which isn't connected to anything. But if we then had track 2 sequenced as well, which we do in fact, because there is a standard, there is a track. Track 2 is also using these sliders, so we are actually getting something. And this will also swap if tracks are sending data. So if track A is sending data out A, it will swap with B and vice versa. Again, some great little rhythms here, and that is it for the modulation lanes. What you can see though is we've just gone through all of the different options on one modulation lane. What you can do is use 8 different modulations to change all of that stuff at the same time, which that's where it becomes totally insane. So let's just do that very quickly and just see what happens. So if we go to, we have mod highlighted, if we go to edit, modulation lane 1, let's go all the way back to the beginning. We are not going to do accumulation, we are not going to do, we can do direction. Okay, great. If we then go to modulation lane 2, and we'll go to, we did direction, gate length, gate scale, we can't do loopy yet, let's do mutes. Okay, modulation lane 3. Mute, octave, yes, we liked octave. Modulation lane 4. Pulse count, sorry I'm going too far. Octave, right. Pitch offset, pitch post, I don't like those because they are not quantized. I'm sorry, I like things to be in my chosen scale. Cool. Modulation lane 5. Pitch, post, play order. Yes, so this is where there's lots of different options here. Okay, well, you get the idea. I've no idea what the original sounded like anymore. Anyway, I think it sounds pretty good. Right, I think we got up to modulation lane 5. Right, we will then do something different on the next one. So modulation lane 6. So if I set this to none, which it is currently set at, and do a, excuse my fingers getting in the way while I try and ramp this up. All I'm doing here is creating a, well, at the moment, a series of stepped voltages, and I would like them not to be stepped, I'd like them to be ramped, so we get sort of a couple of peaks. Now this is not going anywhere because, if you recall, I've set it to none, but what we can do is send it to these two outputs. So if I then go into, see above these two buttons here, it says A and B. So if I press Alt A, output A can be lots of things, but I'm going to select mod. And then in the bottom one, mod. And in the bottom one, it was 6. It's going to A. And you can see the LED here is going green when it's positive and red when it's negative, and this end is currently plugged in nowhere, but we could put it into the frequency modulation of our Domino, which is a built-in filter. If I increase a bit here, if I take it out, the difference it's making. If I set it down low, and then we actually don't want too many negative peaks because we'll get silences. Let's maybe get some really big peaks here. It'd probably be good to have our highest note having filter right open, maybe the next one a bit lower. Because we've set it. Right, I'm just going to take off the slides. That's without any modulation. Yeah, like that. Bit of a sort of tom. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. We have another jack here, so it would be criminal not to do something with that. So if we go to the 7th modulation lane, again select none, and this time I want to put in effectively even 2 gates. So I want this to be +5 on the first step, and on the 5th step I also want this to be +5. On my fingers I will show you we just have 2 peaks on steps 1 and step 5, and it is currently unassigned. But if we go to Alt B, Alt output B, we want to be mod, and we want it to be why? Okay, anyway, output B we want to be mod, and it's output 7. It's going output B, so you can see. And if I just make sure that we are in time here, let's try that again, that's close. Okay, on the first beat, actually on every, so this only is 8 stages, on every kick drum, hopefully that is flashing in time. So we have that. And I've put this into the reset button of the Music Thing Modular radio music. And what this does is plays random bits of radio from all around the world, pre-recorded. It's just a sample, and that is coming out on channel 2. It's been mixed in with our Domino, but you can get some very interesting textures. So, and all it's going to do, because it's in rhythm, it's going to play a quarter of a bar's worth and then reset and play another quarter of a bar. So it should always be in sync. Okay, that's not quite right. So I'm going to stop my drum machine, which is setting the rhythm. I'm going to stop it, reset that, and I will then, right, that is better. So we have some sort of reggae beat here. If I turn down the Domino for a second, and because we're just effectively sending 2 gates in rhythm, we can this changes the station and this changes at what bit we are looping, but we just get these little snippets of texture. It's obviously too loud, but I think it's great just to add a little bit of something. And because I've got it always resetting, it doesn't matter where I go. Obviously, sometimes if it's music, then it can be out of key. But you know, some of this is sounding good to me. Let's put it back into the gate mode. Turn the pitch down. Oh, the other thing we could do, just turn that down a sec. Oh, I've got this on the filter. You can put this to the pulse width modulation. And on pulse width modulation, it's probably better to go positive and negative. So if we just edit the 6th modulation lane. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Get some great pulse width modulation, and if we've not got it right, we can. I think that's sounding pretty good already. This is the decay button here that I'm just playing with. Filter on below. Oh, just change the pitch knob. criminal, so maybe that's just changed the tune. Apologies. It was. Nice in tune. I have heard some people pull the pitch knob off so that once it's in tune they never touch it. Now I know why. Once you've got these set up, of course, you can just change them on the run. This play order does tell you modulation lane 5 out of 8, play order. This is our output A, it also says that here. We know that that is our pulse width modulation. I think that's sounding pretty good, to be honest. A bit of reverb on there would be good. Don't have it. You can get lots of foreign language stuff. If I change the radio station, see if I can get, just turn this down a sec. No idea what language that is, but you know. I mean, I think you can see why it's taken me so long to do this video. It is too easy to get lost with this thing, and you know, you don't need to really you don't really need to know what the hell you're doing. Let's see if I can get any music, which is obviously dangerous because it's very unlikely to be in tune. Obviously, we've got the same snippet of background or ambience or noise going 4 times a bar, so it'll get pretty dull, but you can keep changing it. Get a little drum groove going. Let me just, if we go to our 7th, we can reduce this and we get half a bar, which could be more interesting, I guess. Oh yeah. somewhere between a drum break. It sounds like a horse. That's strange.
Special things, and as we.
Right, I've divided the modulation lane now. I know that's each modulation lane, isn't it? Yeah, that is each modulation lane. Okay, so each modulation lane can have its own speed. So if we went to the one just doing the radio, we're getting half a bar. So if we change that, we'll get a full bar. Nice. Let's randomly change some of the others as well. See, that could be good. Sounds like it's not in tune to me. What's that? Some backing singers there. Right, I think that's time. Call it a day. I think that is it for part 4. I think next time we're going to come on to loopy, start playing. Make it even more crazy. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time.